a meltdown. I mean, not only just the two Ferrari cars, but the other Ferrari-powered cars.
In Haas and
we had five cars out of this race because Stroll was out. Let's see.
Stroll,
There was the two Ferraris, Lance Stroll, Kevin Magnussen, and Yuki Tsunoda.
Yep, and Latifi.
No, Tsunoda didn't go out because
he came back. He got he got his rear wing.
Yeah, he duct taped the rear wing.
Tape job.
There you go.
Yep. The pinnacle of Formula One technology repairing that car, Bob.
Available in your
garage. There's a lot of weeknight short track racers who looked at that and thought, I know exactly what they're dealing with.
We had a great tweet. Someone said to us, her name is Sis, and I don't know who she is, but she said, it's reassuring to know I fix household issues with Formula One technology too.
Good one.
Yeah.
Now we've got my filling.
Yeah. Well, Bob, what do you think? What do you think of the race?
I thought it was kind of uneventful. I was expecting a bit more. Of course, the highlight punctuating everything was the fact that Ferrari had a complete collapse. I mean, six Ferrari powered cars in the race, and four of them drop out with apparently similar issues. I mean, that's not a good look. And I'm not sure what it means. We talked in the pre-race show about how Ferrari may have been emphasizing one lap speed in qualifying very effectively, with Charles Leclerc taking his fourth straight pole for this race. But now he has tied Juan Pablo Montoya back in his Williams days with 4 straight pole positions and hasn't won a single one of the races and dropped out of 2 of them, DNFs. So, it's a grim situation, and Ferrari's got very little time to fix it because everything's got to go on the airplane for Montreal.
Yeah, it's not a good scene because, as you've mentioned, if it had been just the 2 factory Ferraris, you could have said, oh, okay. But it was obvious down the group that it was, especially when Haas came in, it was like, okay, stop the car, don't go any further. So it really shouted engine problem. So that's across the board bad news for Ferrari.
Yeah. But as always, one man's ceiling's another man's floor, and some teams had great days, including Mercedes, and it was painful to watch Lewis Hamilton try to get out of his car at the end of the race.
Yeah.
Good day for AlphaTauri, and Alpine, the 2 cars in the points, I believe. Yeah. With Alonso 7th and Ocon in 10th. So, the plot thickens. And if it wasn't the best race we've seen all year, it certainly adds another brick to the wall of the 2022 season, which, as Jonathan pointed out in the pre-race show, is the best season we've seen for quite a long time in Formula One.
Yeah. Jonathan, Mark Priestley said during the race broadcast, something that we had been alluding to in our pre-show about how Hamilton may start bringing this up. I mean, after seeing him try to climb out of the car and holding his back, that he could bring this up to the FIA, and this start to escalate quickly now.
Yeah, I mean, there becomes a safety issue at some point. We said it before the start of the race because we were hearing murmurings of it with Toto saying he wouldn't complete the race. Well, he completed the race, and one of his, I know he got a 3rd already, but that's probably one of his best drives of the season. But if he physically can't do it, and it's not through, he's as fit as anybody out there. They even retired another car. I can't remember, for oscillation. Was it one of the Alphas?
That was Stroll.
Stroll in the Aston Martin.
I'm assuming that's the same thing. Yeah.
Those are 2 completely separate incidents, but that tells you a lot about that there's something needs to be addressed here when it comes to this problem.
Yeah, it's going to get very interesting. It's like I was saying.
But what do they
yesterday
do?
and today is what do they do? But it is definitely a problem that is for the sport now. It's not just for the teams; it's for the sport. And Les knows what to do.
Lift it up, raise it up a bit. We said that in the beginning, and the physics behind that, or when you raise it up, the downforce that's created by the vacuum under the car then has a little bit of escape between the front wheels and rear wheels. And so that kind of lightens it up a little bit, gives it a place to exhaust that extra downforce or that gulp of air that gets passed through. And so that's why that works.
And then but then you get no ground effects.
Oh, yeah.
It's reduced.
Right.
It's still there, but it is reduced.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what
that's,
do you do?
right.
How do you, if you try to fix it as a sport, do you then say, okay, we now have sensors that measure this oscillation or the impact that they feel in their spine? Is that how you regulate it? What do you do?
You do it purposely.
You
With
do-
porpoise. With porpoise.
With purpose. Thank you. I'm here all week.
That's right. Well, I was sitting on the couch watching the race with my wife and trying to explain this thing to her, and her attitude, common sense, as women usually are, why don't they just tell everybody to do something in particular to fix it? And I said, well, that's not the legacy of Formula One. You build your own car. If your car doesn't work right, you can't
It's your fault.
expect the series to come forward and fix it for you. You have to fix it yourself. And earlier this season, we learned that the Alfa Romeo team wasn't having the porpoising problem. And so they said, well, why are we going to fix everybody else's cars? We designed a car that doesn't bounce. Why should we be penalized because other people got it wrong?
And that's the problem, isn't it, Bob? It's all very well saying, now it's an FIA problem and Hamilton's going to, he's going to limp all the way to the steward's office and complain. But really, what you just stated is absolutely the essence of Formula One, which is, hey, you didn't build a double diffuser a few years ago, and that's why Braun won the world championship.
Right.
This is what
Anybody
Formula
else?
One.
When you saw Lewis getting out of the car, did anybody else have flashes of Nigel Mansell getting out of the Williams?
I
Falling all over the place?
anymore.
I can't walk anymore. It sounds like I heard Chris Medland from Baku. I think I heard some noise over there. Chris, are you on?
I am indeed, although I'm in a very unglamorous place right now. I'm currently running under the track from the commentary boxes back to the paddock to see who we can grab to talk to after that race. But I fully agree with everything you guys just said, which I know is really boring for the radio. But
No.
you get a set of rules, you got to work to them. If you do a better job than someone else and your car's undrivable and someone else has a comfortable car, well, that's just the way they interpreted the rules. Everyone makes concessions somewhere.
And that's why I'm against having we're not quite mid-season, but I'm against that any of the rules or technical aspects being changed at this point in the season, because some of them do have a handle on it.
Yeah, some of them have a handle, but at some point, do you not do anything as a sport to protect the health of the driver? Do you say to the team, look, clearly you haven't figured it out as good as the other teams, Mercedes. Your driver's getting injured. You need to do something, or do you just let that get handled internally?
Raise the car.
Well, yeah. I mean, we know how to fix it now, but they raised the car and now they're totally uncompetitive. But if the driver's getting hurt,
Tough.
yeah.
Well, that's the thing. How far do you go? One driver from one team is saying, I'm getting hurt. Maybe somebody needs to remind Lewis, with all due respect, that we do have a reserve driver who would love to get in the car if for some reason you can't go, as George Russell did when you had COVID, a year ago.
Well, guys, let's get in a quick break, and we'll be back, continue this discussion. We got Chris in Baku, and we'll continue talking about this and lots more from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Hi, this is Jay Leno from JayLenosGarage.com, and you're listening to Speed City.
You're listening to Speed City F1 on SiriusXM.
All right, we just watched Max Verstappen win the Formula One Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I got all the letters in that time.
Yeah, you did. Good
Azerbaijan.
Hey. Azerbaijan.
Ahead of Sergio Perez. And I like what Sergio said. I say I like. It's interesting what Sergio said when asked in the post-race interview about the team orders of no fighting. He said, I think it was the right call.
Yeah, based on the idea that because it's a street race and anything can happen, safety in numbers, i.e. two's better than one, and let's not fight because you don't know what's going to happen. It's interesting because Marko didn't say that at the beginning of to Chris earlier today.
Right. Well, the thing that was different in the race is Sergio really had no threat from Russell.
Okay. Yeah, good point.
And so why go up and create additional risk with your teammate?
Oh, yeah.
Just sit in the rocking chair and between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Checo admitted that Max was quicker.
Yeah.
Max had the speed.
Yeah, I think we've seen times like, 2 races ago, wasn't it, in Barcelona, where there was a reason for Perez to benefit from team orders or not to have to yield to Max because his own race was getting compromised at the same time. Today, with the way it shaped up, it wasn't really. It was Red Bull were going to finish 1 and 2. They were going to get maximum points. They needed to make sure they were going to do that with what happened to Ferrari. Couldn't afford to screw it up anyway. And yeah, why have that really awkward situation of telling your quicker driver to sit behind the slower one for over half the race? I think they did the right thing as well. I mean, we're all fans of Checo's here and we want to see a good title fight, but sometimes you just got to accept who the quicker man is and which is the safest way to play it. And I think Red Bull did that today.
Does anybody recall what the predictions were?
Oh, wow. No, I can't remember.
Bring that up.
Yeah, I can't remember that, Les. Hard luck.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I will run down it. So Max Verstappen for the win, followed by Sergio Perez, followed by George Russell, and that top 3 as predicted by Les Kaiser. I'll give you that one.
Give me that one.
And then
the mayor wins,
followed by the other Mercedes car, Lewis Hamilton. So 3-4 for Mercedes. You got to be happy there, even with a sore back. Followed by Pierre Gasly, Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso, Daniel Ricciardo ahead of Lando Norris, Esteban Ocon in 10th, Bottas in 11th, Albon, Tsunoda, Schumacher, and Latifi, who finished. That's the last of the cars that finished the race. It was Lance Stroll, Magnussen, Guan Yu Zhou Guan Yu, and Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz did not finish the race. So we had 5 cars did not finish the race. I want to step back to Ricciardo. And Jonathan, we talked about this right after the race before we came on the air. Ricciardo started on medium tires.
He started on hard.
On hard, while Norris started on medium tires. Do you attribute that to his?
Yeah, I mean, all the top 10 went on the mediums. That was kind of what Mario Isla was saying. That was the obvious strategy. But if you were out of the top 10, as Ricciardo was, why not? Why not see? Because you can. One of the things that I noticed that Mario said at the beginning was that a lot of the guys had spare hards in case there was a lot of safety, and so it was a gamble in that respect, but a good one, and definitely it helped.
Yeah, Bob. I know we talked yesterday about how it's kind of a desperate situation for Daniel Ricciardo. Do you think this is just what the doctor ordered?
I think it's what the team ordered, to be honest. I think, the team probably felt that Daniel needed some support, a little bit of bucking up, as it were. And aside from that, I think it was the right decision. I mean, Ricciardo was running well. Like Red Bull up at the front, McLaren didn't want to risk that nose-to-tail finish and points for the team. Norris was a little bit petulant, I think, on the radio. Why can't I pass him? This is not strategy. This is track position, whatever, as he said. He clearly just wanted to finish ahead of his teammate because he wasn't going to go any farther than that. So for the team to say, well, Daniel's had a tough time of it and he has let you by this year. So let's just, keep this, grab the points, pack up and head for Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we forget how long this season is. We're a long way to go yet. So it's we talk strategy and we talk about team orders, but it is kind of too early.
Hey, Chris Medland, I hear a little noise going on. Is there anything happening over in Baku?
Oh, there's plenty happening. I'm trying not to get run over right now. I've just dodged George Russell. I've actually seen the man we spoke to on the grid, Helmut Marko, who must be very happy. Now, we've just said, Helmut, that we think the right calls were made today by Red Bull. Made sense not to have the drivers fight each other. Was it the perfect day for you?
Was a perfect day. We are sorry for Ferrari, but we believe we had the speed, even though we didn't change under the safety car to match Leclerc and even beat him, because our speed on the hard tire was really impressive.
Yeah, and you say you're sorry for Ferrari, but I mean, maximum points for the team. Sergio now second in the championship. I mean, things are looking really good, aren't they?
Unbelievable. We never had such a strong first season. Normally we are starting always a little bit slow, but now seven wins out of 9 is perfect. I think you have to go there.
No problem. TV cameras are getting in the way of that one, but Helmut Marko there.
Good job.
A happy Helmut Marko, which is not always the case, is it? It's sometimes, even when they've done well, there's a problem. But no, he's smiling, and I mean, today couldn't have been any better for Red Bull, could it?
Yeah.
Scoring it's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
He says he feels sorry for Ferrari. I don't believe he does.
I don't
honest.
That was just being polite.
Yeah, like I wanted to ask him that. I was
My
like,
chin hit the
really?
floor when I heard that.
Yeah. I'm going to see. Actually, I might just linger a little bit. Toto Wolff is here doing some TV interviews as well, and it's been one of those weird weekends where we talk about problems for Mercedes, don't we? I heard you guys talking about Lewis's back, and pre-race we were talking about the issues they're having, and they're still third and fourth.
Yeah,
they just get it done.
All right, so if you get Toto, if you get Toto, ask him why not lift the car up a little bit.
Yeah.
No, in all sincerity. I mean, I feel like that's the obvious answer.
Well, I guess he'd say we finished third and fourth. We don't need to. Like,
That's right.
Yeah.
Ask Lewis about that.
Yeah, true. That's the question. But if the drivers hold on and get it done, then they're good results.
Hey, Chris,
So
a question. During the race, we saw Ferrari, after the disaster of the second car going out, packing up, and they seem to be substantially on their way. What's the Ferrari camp look like right now? Are they already gone?
If only F1 teams could get out that quickly. I'd tell you, it takes hours and hours to do something like that. I don't know if I've timed this well or not. I haven't. I was going to try and talk to Christian Horner, but he's going to go and do. David Coulthard's calling, and he's good mates at DC, so I'll come back to him later. I'm at Ferrari now, and yeah, they're still packing up. Mattia Binotto's still here, facing the music, doing some media right now that I might be able to muscle into, but he has changed. He's ready to travel. He's in his civvies, so he doesn't want to be here for too much longer.
He's on a second.
I'm not sure. He was polite for us to speak to us, wasn't he, in Barcelona when things didn't go well. I'm not too sure if they would be willing to do the same here. I would just ask a question.
I want to find out what's going on. What happened? We know with all the Ferrari powered cars.
Yeah, I was curious because they all, seem to have the same type of failure, I'll say, or predominantly. Quite a few of them, blew smoked on the way out. And so...
Well, a man who might answer that for me, I'm going to really annoy him, actually, is Fred Vasseur, who is heading down. And I don't know if he wants to talk to Ferrari about what went wrong here.
he is an interested party.
He does. Oh, yeah. He's heading to Ferrari to find out for himself. So I'll let him go on that one. He doesn't want to stop. Mattia Binotto, though, to be fair, we just made a joke about Helmut Marko and whether he really feels sorry. He did just shake Mattia Binotto's hand and I think said sorry. So I'm sure he still isn't really, but he did actually make that gesture too. So that was a nice touch.
Good man.
Credit.
Yeah, fair enough.
It is a sport.
Yeah, and to be honest, you want a rival to be it. You'd want to beat your rivals on track. You don't want to beat them.
Yeah, exactly.
Through malfunction.
Yeah. You want to beat them, head to head on the track, not with that kind of issue. No doubt. Yep.
Now, and if we look at it as well, the teams, they had the pace. They kind of want to prove that, don't they? They don't want people speculating that it was a race that got away from Ferrari because of Ferrari's errors. They want it to be a race that Red Bull won because Red Bull were better. That's that's why these people go racing. So,
well, looking at the start of that race, I mean, I'm thinking about Sergio Perez's day and the fact that he thought his teammate had the pace on him. I mean, Perez got a great launch, swept into the lead, and immediately opened 2+ seconds on the field. I mean, he was really flying early in that race. And then, it all kind of went away. I guess he'd probably blame the tires, but boy, oh boy.
Yeah, Jonathan, you were talking about how when Max did go ahead of Sergio, he took off.
He did. He was he caught him in a matter of a couple of laps and then passed him and was 2 seconds up the road within 2 laps. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. But there may have been a point to that. I mean, Max wanted to make it look like, yes, I am definitely quicker. And they knew it. They didn't say Checo, let him by. They just said, he's coming, don't defend, which is not quite the same thing.
Yeah, don't fight.
No fighting. Yeah.
I think it was an acknowledgement that they knew Max had the pace for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a probably a carefully chosen team radio, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't forget as well, we heard team radio from Sergio Perez in Barcelona where he said, I think that's not fair, but okay. We didn't get it, did we, this time?
No.
We didn't get that kind of bit of dissent. We got acceptance. Or, well, he just moved over. But I say moved over. I think it was still a move, wasn't it? He did it on the brakes into turn one. Perez said to him, okay, you can go offline if you're passing me. He just didn't, move to the inside and make it tricky.
Well, he also just got a contract extension.
Yeah.
That too. Although sometimes that empowers you, doesn't it? You don't have to worry about your future for a bit. Go and drive yourself.
I don't know.
2 years,
Hey, talk about Ricciardo. He's supposed to be, set until the end of next year. But look at this.
Is this? I was just thinking, is this Sergio Perez's first 2-year deal with Red Bull? I think he's been on 1-year deals to this point.
Yes,
indeed. He's been on 1-year deals a lot actually in his career because he tended to be at Force India as well, where he was a team that financially wasn't all that stable. So even if it was sometimes with options, they weren't regularly longer term deals. And then there was also the McLaren deal was only for 1 year in the end.
Yeah. And Chris, I just want to remind those that didn't hear the pre-show, your interview was very telling with Helmut Marko because he said finally.
I've got another interview that we're telling. It's with Lando Norris. Lando, points today. How did the race pan out from your perspective? Because we heard a lot of team radio about you and your teammate.
I think it was a good day. We got unlucky a little bit with the strategy. Not to anyone in particular. I mean, just Daniel, really. We just lost one position because he boxed under the VSC. But we knew that was the gamble. Let's say there's a risk of a VSC happening early and it benefiting us. And if it happens late, it benefits them. That's life. That's the decision you got to make with strategies. But I'm happy with it. The team did a good job. Our aim today was to finish in the points, and that's what we did with both cars. So good job.
But then when you look at the overall pace of the car, where do you see yourself stacking up? Are you still the fourth quickest team, or have you got some work to do?
No, I don't think really we've ever been the fourth quickest team. I don't think you can simply say you're the fourth quickest team because it changes so much from 1 week to the next. Maybe in Monaco you could have said we were, but I think that's it. I think every other place we've struggled a little bit more. We've just done a better job with strategy and reliability and things like that. You saw how many people struggled today because of reliability. So I think we're doing a good job in many areas, but we're nowhere near as high as where we want to be or where we need to be. And we'll continue to work and try and make progress on that side.
Well, we'll see how we get on in Montreal. Lando, thank you very much. And he was very polite there. He slowed down for me because someone got in my way. And I've never seen a racing driver slow down for a journalist before. So, he started walking slowly to make sure that he didn't outpace me, which is very polite. So,
Another point about today's race that struck me was the number of poor pit stops, the number of problems, whether it was a jack or a wheel nut or whatever it was. I mean, instead of the usual 2 points something or other that we're used to seeing, there were a lot of 3, 4, and even 5 point something second pit stops for some reason, and it seemed to be up and down the pit lane.
Yeah, I was a little skeptical of one of those. I won't lie. The first stop for Sergio Perez was, shall we say, convenient.
They held him
because it did mean that there was no risk of an undercut. So yeah, that's kind of how I saw it. With that one, I kind of we'll ask Christian Horner about what the real issue was. I'm sure he'll have a reason. But just that meant that Perez wouldn't have a chance of undercutting Verstappen. It just would have made things a little bit more complicated at that moment. But you're right, there was a lot that were actually pretty slow. It was hot, and I know it seems weird, but if you get parts overheating, wheel guns overheating slightly or something like that, you only have to be slightly off. But I'll tell you what, there's a driver here I'm going to try and get who may well say no to me. But I'm going to ask the question anyway.
Go on, Chris. Get in there.
Because it's someone we don't normally have on the show, and I don't know. I'm actually going to check with Britta. Seb's got a second for American radio as we walk and talk if he is up for it. I'm told I can try, so this will be fun. He's doing lots of photos with fans, which is really nice. I will run in front of him here and be that guy. And we'll see, but I don't want to interrupt the photos. Sebastian, just very quickly for SiriusXM in the US, great drive today. You like it around here, don't you?
Yeah, I think it was a good weekend. All in all, I think solid points, which is important to us. And yeah, I do like it around here.
Top 6 again. I mean, is this car getting stronger every time you drive it? You seem more comfortable with each passing race.
Yeah, it does help. I mean, we're also getting a little bit more experience with the car and where we can still find a little bit and fine tune. So, yeah, we're waiting obviously now for the next sort of rounds of bits, but overall, yeah, it's a positive trend.
Thank you very much, Seb. I'll let him get back to photos and autographs. He's getting absolutely swamped. He's very popular, is Sebastian Vettel, in this paddock. And yeah, people want a bit of his time, but yeah, top 6 for Seb today.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
I want to know where Sebastian learned to do those, those handbrake turns, we might call them. He's
that was impressive.
And boy, he is right on it.
Yeah, he saved a spot or two, you would think. But all right, guys, coming
up,
a motorcycle. Coming up right after this, we're going to have more from Chris Medland in Baku, more driver interviews, more wheel gun sounds, you name it. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Gene Haas, and this is Speed City.
You're listening to Speed City F1 on SiriusXM.
All right, welcome back to Sean Messing. I've got Jonathan Green, Les Kaiser in studio, and Bob Varsha over Zoom, and Chris Medland in Baku. Chris, are you still hanging around Daniel Ricciardo?
I am, but I'm not going to get him just yet because he's a man in demand. As we said, like he had a good race weekend. So they have given me a bit of a nod that I can try and grab a word with him in a little while. But yeah, right now, no chance of Daniel because all of the TV coming in. There's someone else I might try and grab. No, I found that badly too. Pierre Gasly, though, is still doing lots of interviews as well because he had a great run. 5th place. Yeah, really good from Pierre. So again, he's another one I'll try and time it with. But there was a few we were hanging around early, weren't we? Christian Horner was one I was going to try and have a word with, but his old pal DC got in my way. Well, so I will run back towards where Christian Horner is. And yeah, what should we ask Christian Horner about if I get in?
Oh, what should we ask Christian Horner? Well, Jonathan?
Was that a deliberately slow pit stop for Checo?
Yeah, there you go, Bob.
Yeah, what was the issue on that pit stop?
Yeah, I'll diplomatically ask it, I think. But yeah,
come on.
A question. There's a lot of happy people in this part of the paddock, actually. It's a busy paddock. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fans seem to have made their way in here. But yeah, a lot of smiling faces. One of them is Christian Horner's.
You can butter him up with the fact that 3 of the top 5 cars were Red Bull powertrains powered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a very good run, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Such a shame as well for Yuki Tsunoda, who should have been really maybe top 7, but for that rear wing issue.
Yeah.
Jonathan, you got Chris at your disposal. What are you asking Helmut Marko or Christian Horner?
Yeah, it's a good. I'm just wondering whether you bring up sort of what Mercedes are talking about, which is the bringing it up to the FIA and saying physically, not all the things that they've been saying, and as we've said, this is a moot point, really, isn't it? And certainly will be for Christian.
Yeah, exactly. For their car, you don't see that issue. So it will be interesting to see what he would say about that. He's just been dragged off somewhere else again, as is always the way. I've got to stop setting myself up for a fall, haven't I? Keep everyone,
no, you're doing a hell of a job, mate.
The porpoise thing, to me, Red Bull got a handle on it really early and swift. And, Adrian Newey was probably a part of that. And, every time we've seen major changes to the cars over the past 10 years, Newey seems to be the first one to really get a handle on the changes and bring them into play correctly and be competitive so quickly.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean, you could ask Christian, is this finally a car that looks similar or feels similar to those 4 in a row for Vettel when they were the team that couldn't be beaten?
I'd say just off the back of that, so I'm hanging around now Pierre Gasly, who we might be able to grab in a second. But you speak of Vettel and that dominance of Red Bull. Before, since 2006, either Vettel or Hamilton have finished in the top 2 in the championship. That's how dominant Red Bull were for a spell. Obviously, Hamilton was at McLaren before that, and then Mercedes have been. And right now, neither of them are anywhere near. But I'm just going to try and grab Pierre Gasly very briefly to say, Pierre, a top 5 Pierre for you today. What a result. Does it feel like the result that deserved this season that just hasn't quite been there for you?
I mean, probably the result we deserved in Monaco. I feel like clearly there we had the pace. I think all the races so far this year, we haven't showed that strong pace compared to other guys. So, no, I'm just really happy to kick off our season properly here in Baku because we haven't been really lucky. We haven't performed and delivered from the start of the year the same way we did last year because we did
too many mistakes. Got involved in some incidents, sometimes from our control, sometimes not from our control. But this weekend we execute. It was the perfect weekend for from all of us, and best qualifying. Great race, fighting with Lewis. You know, when we know we're splitting the two Mercedes. I wish the Ferraris, but for now it's the two Mercedes. That means we're doing a good job, and I'm really pleased for the team in terms of motivation for the rest of the year. I think that's going to be a great boost. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't wish the Ferraris with their reliability, though. I can tell you that with the way it went for them today. But is this form you can take on to other circuits, you think, or is it a bit circuit specific?
Yeah, we know it's a track specific. Here in Baku, it's a lot of low speeds, a lot more mechanical than aero related tracks. So, you know, it was important to capitalize on weekends like this when the car is fast, because Monaco was one of these weekends where we didn't deliver in quali during the most important session of the weekend, and we paid a big price for it. This weekend, it was important to just not do any mistakes, do our own thing, and that's what we did. And at the end of the day, that's 10 good points for the team and all of us. Yeah, a good reward after this challenging last couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, just quickly, I've got to let you go. But based on that, then, you think you'll be strong in Montreal next weekend?
On paper, should not be as good as here, but we like to prove that our papers are wrong. So yeah, we'll try to do everything we can. We'll see, but for sure, I think we're heading in the right direction, and yeah, got to keep pushing in that way.
Great stuff. Well done today, Pierre. Thanks for your time.
Awesome.
Pierre Gasly finally getting the result I would say he deserves. I think that's his first top 5 of the year.
Agreed. Yeah, he's done so well. I wouldn't have been surprised if that wasn't his first. But good timing too, with all the silly season talk going on.
Absolutely, and one thing that I'm just going to move out the way, a massive scrum for some guy called Lewis Hamilton, who is moving a little bit gingerly still at the moment. I will give him that. But
is he on a stretcher?
He's walking and he's signing autographs and smiling. He's doing a good job in that sense. But to be fair to him, obviously he's not getting given any space by anybody who wants an autograph or a photo or something like that. So yeah, he's kind of a bit like Checo at the start. He needs to get his elbows out. But yeah, with Pierre, one thing we learned was that Helmut Marko had previously hinted that he'd be free to go at the end of the year if they couldn't give him a Red Bull seat. But now it seems like that's next year. So there's another year that Pierre's got to stay within the Red Bull ownership. And it's whether Red Bull then will fund a seat for him somewhere else. Will they keep him at AlphaTauri? What will they do? But yeah, Pierre himself said at the start of this weekend, it makes Checo, the job he's doing now, like he totally understands it. It doesn't mean he's happy about how he's ended up in the position he's in, but he says, it's a no-brainer for Checo to get that extension.
Yeah, and think about it, guys. The top 5s. I mean, he wants to. Where's he going to go? That's going to give him the chances that he's getting right now. So,
no, I think he's got a solid position. He's in a good place. He may not be what he wants, but I don't think he's going to be able to improve it.
What were you going to say, Jonathan, about Gasly?
Just the same as, we've been talking about Checo's sort of Phoenix from the ashes kind of comeback. Gasly the same. We've been saying it all along. Both AlphaTauri and Gasly particularly has been so impressive at the end of last season and now this season.
Yeah, no doubt. Lots of comments trending on Twitter right now as duct tape. So,
Chris, should have bought stock.
Chris, was it a choice between duct tape and zip ties, I guess?
Pretty much, yeah. I think the one thing they do get, don't they, is they can look on the onboard camera and kind of see what it looks like from behind, and they go, what's going to be the best fix? It's got to be the duct tape. A bit quicker as well. I think if you pull a zip tie too tight, you can probably damage the rear wing. So yeah, duct tape it was, but it did allow Tsunoda at least to finish the race. But I mean, that ruined a good one for him. I do feel for him on that front, because Tsunoda's been one of the drivers that's impressed me this year in a car that hasn't been all that competitive all the time, and he hasn't been able to chase big results all the time. He has been pretty damn impressive. I'm gonna
one of the
keep trying to hang around Christian Horner here. I keep timing this very badly with him, but we will get him eventually. I insist on it, but he's into Italian Sky. One thing I will say though, in fairness to all of these people, the amount of times they just jump from one interview to another and basically get asked the same questions and have to give fresh sounding answers with a smile on their faces. At least I get to grab each of them once, and it's new each time. For them, less so.
Yeah, it's a good point.
What were you going to say, Les?
About the duct tape situation. The thing that was interesting, got to stick with it. So the one thing that was interesting is they got out of that pit stop really quick, and they said there was somebody from FIA headed down there to go look at and inspect
possibly
it from a safety
Pat's
situation.
not that quick on his feet.
Yeah.
That was Joe Bauer, the head.
Oh, Joe, yeah, that's who I meant. Sorry.
So, there was a possibility that they were going to get delayed even further
or taken out of the race. That was
right.
Yeah. They have said put it in the garage.
Yeah, could have done.
The danger obviously being that, bits start coming off the car.
Yeah.
Creating
and all joking aside, no telling what type of technology they had in that tape. I mean, it's probably not just your average Home Depot duct tape, because they got to stand up to 215 miles an hour, whatever we saw today.
Yeah, 213.
Yeah, they picked it up on radar.
Yeah. One point I will make, Mercedes was talking at the beginning of, at the end of Monaco, beginning of this weekend about, damage limitation, not damage limitation, but we're doing mental things and we're not, we're not really, it's not really, we can't fight with the top guys. Listen, Ferrari have 199 points. Mercedes have 161. Red Bull are gone. They've got 279. So the battle for the runner-up spot is on between Ferrari, if they keep mucking up, and Mercedes, if they keep getting thirds and fourths. So Toto can say what he likes, but this is now, the fight is on now.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to come back to Chris here in just a moment to see if he's able to get Christian Horner. We got lots more for you coming up after this.
Hi guys, this is Pierre and you're listening to Speed City.
You're listening to Speed City F1 on SiriusXM.
The Speed City F1 post-race show on SiriusXM is brought to you by CrowdStrike. Stop today's most sophisticated cyber attacks at the office, the racetrack, and everywhere in between. Learn more at crowdstrike.com/XM. Chris Medland, how's it going over there in Baku?
It's going okay. I'm trying to make sure I position myself in the right place. Actually, who has just gone off to do a print media session, and if he appears, then I'm going to basically stand on his toes and stop him walking past me, because I've said to too many people, haven't I, that I'm going to try and grab them. Christian Horner as well, still doing lots of other interviews and heading to speak to the print media right now. But it's surprisingly chaotic down here, but because we've got these back-to-back races with Montreal, and everyone's got to head off as quickly as possible and get quite a long way across the world. The pack-up is going on pretty frantically. Lots of sort of storage freight crates and things that are being moved around, trying not to hit people with them, because it is still quite tight, as I mentioned in the pre-show, with how tight this paddock can be. So, a lot of people running around trying to get their stuff onto planes to get to Canada.
Yeah, that's true. Back to back here. Well, while Chris is trying to do that, Bob Varsha, any other thoughts on today's race? We've talked about Verstappen and Perez. I mean, I don't think we mentioned that Russell's on the podium, but man, another fantastic race for him, Bob.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, George Russell is proving what we saw when he first stood in at the team for Lewis Hamilton in Bahrain. He's obviously, very, very good. He is not saying anything about the bouncing. Well, he has said it in the past, in truth, that, that it was making the car very hard to drive and it was causing him some physical problems. But he hasn't said that in some time. So I don't know if his side of the garage has come up with something. I'm sure they would share it with the other side if it came to that. But he is comprehensively outperforming a world champion right now. He really looks the business. And, it seems to me over these first 8 races of the season, having scored top 5 finishes in all of them, I can't remember many battles he's been involved in. It's been a lot like today's race, which was off the radar. He's never battling with anybody, so TV never picked him up. He was just kind of, 10 to 15 seconds behind somebody and 10 to 15 seconds ahead of somebody, just, getting the business done. And that's probably a good thing. I wonder if it's deliberate. I'd love to hear from him.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I mean, again, today he benefits from the Ferrari cars ahead of him to get onto the podium, but he's had that kind of a season. It's it's been a little bit quiet. You're right. You haven't seen a lot of television time or battles.
It's about to get interesting because he's now, only 17 points behind Charles Leclerc with no points to get again today. He's in a position to challenge Ferrari.
You have the constructors up?
Yep.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
Well, the constructors is.
I'm sorry, the drivers.
I was
the drivers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, he's 17 points.
Perez moves up, Russell moves up, Leclerc and Sainz fall back.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, Russell's he's flying the flag. He's been between both Carlos Sainz and Leclerc, and he's not that far off. I mean, by the time we get to Silverstone, he could be challenging for third in the championship.
Yeah, because so right now it is Verstappen 150, Perez 129, Leclerc 116, Russell 99, Sainz 83, Hamilton 62, Norris 50, Bottas 40, and Ocon 31. Yeah, and but yeah, so talking about George Russell, 99 to he's 17 points off of Leclerc. Everybody's talking about such a miserable season for Mercedes, and that's not that far off.
No, for Russell, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about constructors, Jonathan?
Well, the constructors is interesting because, like I said before, I'd like to ask Toto. He says, we're now doing experimental work. Well, hang on. They're not that far behind with Ferrari having the woes that they're having. I mean, Red Bull are gone, 279 versus Ferrari's 199 in second, but Mercedes now have 161. And then really there's nobody else in it because it goes down to a midfield battle between McLaren, Alpine, and Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri, who are all pretty much, within 20 points of each other. So we're looking for a top three battle now between 6 cars, and Mercedes are in that battle.
And that's a question for Toto Wolff, if Chris can get him. You've said what you've said about how, the championship's out of reach, blah, blah, blah. But does today's result with a 3-4 finish change all that?
And with Ferrari scoring nothing.
Right. Huge hit to the championship standings. So
I'll tell you what I would find really interesting to know about that is we've obviously got this threshold, which we're about to meet actually at the end of this month in terms of Constructors' Championship position and what that means for your wind tunnel time and how much car development you can do. Now, if you're not fighting for the title, if you're a Mercedes and you're sitting third and you're nearly second, do you really want to move up to second place when you're not in a title fight and lose a bit of that time? Or would you rather be just in third by a few points and have a bit more development time? That's what I would wonder, because surely your aspirations are higher than third or second.
Or do you use that wind tunnel time to develop next year's car or this year's car?
Can you do that under the rules? Can you look ahead and use your available time on next year's car? Or does it have to be this year's car?
No, it can be. It's whatever you want to have in the wind tunnel. So, essentially, it's whatever you've chosen to put in there. And I guess if it's wind tunnel, you will have reconfigured potentially for next year's car. Although, of course, the rules don't really change next year. So you're kind of doing, it's the same type of car that's going to be in the wind tunnel, the same sort of model. Unlike last year when they did have to make an actual choice, and once they stopped developing last year's car, there was no going back. You couldn't then switch back to putting an old model in the wind tunnel. You'd had to reconfigure so much stuff because the rules were so different.
Hey, speaking of that, Haas F1 team, who did do exactly what you just said, spent all the time, they had a really disappointing day today. What do you think, Bob?
Oh, absolutely. The season started with so much promise for Gunther Steiner and crew, and it's just, kind of gone downhill from there. Obviously, Kevin Magnussen's car was one of those Ferrari drivelines that let him down. Mick Schumacher, bless him, piling the evidence that, maybe this is a bridge too far for the son of Michael Schumacher. So, there has to be some head scratching going on at the Haas operation. Love to see him get it turned around, but things just don't seem to be looking that way right now.
Yeah, looking tough for Haas. And I imagine that they are probably one of the first teams that were out of here. Or Gunther Steiner would have been one of the first people out of here after a tough race like this. He likes to get a wriggle on. I can tell you, I bet it's not difficult for you guys to guess, actually, who is the last driver waiting around speaking to media partly after a day like today, but just in general with his demeanor. And it's a guy called Daniel Ricciardo, who who was he's so tired he sat down because he's just doing a hit for the McLaren. I guess it'll be his official press release quote, so I'm probably ruining that for them right now by talking over it. But he's just reviewing his race for probably what must be the 20th time so far today. He's just been doing the print media down here, and I can tell you that this place is empty now. The media pen, every driver's been through. The top three have gone and done their schedules they've gone into a separate press conference now that they've done all the TV interviews. So all the camera crews are packed up, all the print media have left, and the only man left here is Daniel Ricciardo. And just paint you a big picture. We talk about bouncing and stuff. I mean, his race suit's filthy around the shoulders. He's stretching his back out. I don't know why he's stretching his back out. It's not like he's done much over the last 2 hours or stood up for another half to do his interviews. But Daniel, you had a big smile on your face doing it. Less so now because you must be tired. But how happy are you with I know it's only 8th place, but the manner of the 8th place?
I think it's just the general kind of scope of the weekend was more positive than obviously than 2 weeks ago, and we I think did some good work since Monaco, and let's say we felt like we understood quite a bit and let's say how to set the car up moving forward, and I think we were able to execute that relatively well on track. It's obviously always a bit harder on track than maybe on a simulator, but I felt like there was quite good correlation. So yeah, I think it was a step in the right direction. Obviously still trying to find that real feeling I crave, but I think we certainly took a positive step.
Now, I don't mind admitting, I wrote a piece last week about how you needed to get your mojo back to kind of find your form. And I didn't think you'd be doing it this weekend or even next weekend, 2 tracks where you've gone well and won before, but they don't suit taking risks and trying to find gains. So how satisfying is it to do it here on such a challenging circuit as well?
Yeah, I think that's certainly the encouraging thing is it's a very tricky circuit. There's high risk, a lot of big braking zones, and you're staring at the walls a lot. So obviously when you're still maybe not at one with the car, it's not easy to execute it. And I think that there's look, I was obviously still behind in quali, so I'm not like, this is not the ultimate feeling I'm after, but as you say, I think on a tricky circuit, a long lap, looking at it, I think it's certainly progressed, and try to keep it going for Montreal. I think now just kind of also reinstalling some confidence in the team, and I know group of engineers are really trying to work with me, and we're all putting a lot of effort in. So just to kind of come through with a pretty smooth weekend, I think it's a nice reward for everyone that's working hard with me.
Can I just finally ask then, like you say, installing confidence, did it feel like that was waning, maybe even in yourself? Did the atmosphere feel like, we need to get on top of this right now recently?
I mean, there's certainly there's obviously the team want it, but there's no denying that, it's what I want more than anything is to get back up there. And, it showed, I know I referenced Monza, but it's the best reference where, the feeling of getting it right is euphoric, and everyone knows that we've got it in us. So we're just trying to find that. But yeah, it's really, I think the confidence, it's really in the car, and then obviously then that kind of shows outside of it, and obviously like demeanor and the confidence in the people around you. But as I said, I think this weekend was really good for that, and everyone's still certainly behind me, and we just have high hopes, high expectations, and ultimately we know what we can do. So we just want to prove it.
Well, you've proven it today, and I don't think it's made you any less popular around here in Baku either. So I'm going to let you get there. Also have some photos. Daniel, well done today. Daniel Ricciardo there. He has just been flanked all that way because he's the last driver, I think, out and about as well. Every fan that's in here has just followed him, politely waited for us to finish, but he had a huge scrum by the end of it.
I think they're all trying to get on the Netflix Drive to Survive because you know how they love Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh, yeah.
Let the word go out far and wide that the last media organization in the pit lane was Speed City F1.
Yeah, there you
go. All right. Well, let's take this lull and get a quick break in. And when we come back, we'll have more from Chris in Baku, and we'll finish up our coverage of the Azerbaijani Grand Prix.
Hi, this is Karan Chandok, and you're listening to Speed City.
You're listening to Speed City F1 on SiriusXM.
CrowdStrike presents Driven in 60. Our digital world is more than just interconnected, it's interdependent. And because of that, security is the top of every organization. The Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team knows they're a potential target for a host of digital attacks, which is why they leverage the CrowdStrike Falcon platform to deploy end-to-end security solutions. CrowdStrike revolutionized cybersecurity by harnessing the speed and power of the cloud to identify and stop the most sophisticated cyber attacks. Our cloud-native Falcon platform protects and defends organizations against increasingly complex threats, so you can have the peace of mind to focus on your business momentum, not what's trying to stop it. That's protection that powers you. To learn more and to try CrowdStrike Falcon free today, visit crowdstrike.com/XM. Chris, I hear some noise over there. What's going on?
I'd finally eventually try and get Christian Horner, and he's working out where he has to go next. And if it's to a photo to celebrate that one too, then we might get him finally. But I will. So I think he's going to run upstairs and do his debrief in a second, in which case I'll just ask him one question. Christian, perfect day?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we had a great race car today. So, it was a shame we didn't get to see the strategy play out. But I think with the overlap that we had on tyres, by not pitting so early, I think would have given us a reasonable advantage at the back end of the race because it was very, very early.
Yeah, but you looked very quick on that hard too. I mean, do you just feel like you were going to be the dominant team regardless?
I think we had the pace today. You can see how hard Max was pushing Charles. And I think Charles not having the toe to Checo, I think it would have, he would have cleared him perhaps a little easier. But yeah, it was almost by both guys.
And just finally, saw a few slow pit stops in there though. What happened there? Because you're normally so quick.
We had a issue with a gun and an issue with the rear jack as well. So it wasn't the cleanest day in the pits today.
Okay, well, I'll let you go and work that out in your debrief. Christian, thank you very much. I promised you I'd get him eventually.
Good job.
Good job. Short and sharp, though it might have been. But and he wasn't lying because Sergio Perez had just come back from the press conference and gone straight up for debrief as well. So this is the thing. They talk to us and then they go and work out where they were good, where they were bad, and how they're going to implement any changes for the next race. So it's non-stop. Everyone thinks the checker flag falls and that's that. But these teams and drivers are still going to be working hard.
Chris, on that point. Oh, go on, Bob.
Well, some breaking news from Twitter, if that's not an oxymoron. Apparently, they have confirmed a sprint race for Baku next year.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, that's from Sean Kelly.
Oh, that's a legitimate source. What were you going to say, Jonathan?
Yeah, I was just going to say to Chris, with what you've ascertained from what you've seen today, how does the form guide look for Canada? Very different circuit, but, can you read anything into what you've seen today and how you think our top three teams will go there?
I think just from the pace advantage that Red Bull actually did show at times and the fragility of the Ferrari on a power-sensitive circuit, I think it's going to be a Red Bull track. Yeah. I think the interesting bit will be Mercedes and whether the bouncing is a little bit easier, but I don't think there's enough around there, again, with top speed and issue. There's quite around there for Mercedes to then really claw it back too much. If we think of Barcelona, they were very impressive in sections of that track, but that's an all-round circuit. It's not just all about power. Montreal with the long straights and chicanes, it's kind of only those two aspects. I think they'll still be where they roughly were, third quickest, but I actually reckon we get a fairly similar picture to here because they run low downforce or lower downforce over in Montreal as well.
That's a good point. I always love the Canadian Grand Prix, and like you say, that St. Lawrence track is an interesting one because it does have those long straights, but then you've got that first turn which is so complicated, and that last turn, hit the wall, whatever. I'm always intrigued as to how you approach Canada.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it's
go ahead, Chris.
Very interesting. There's someone I want to just try and grab if I can catch their eye. Stoffel. Stoffel Vandoorne. As a joke, someone said that Lewis is struggling with his back. He's finding it painful and difficult. Are you there going, it's all right, I'll do this job for you?
Well, I mean, it's just a tough time out there for both Lewis and George, to be honest. I mean, we've seen it from the onboard, the purposing. I haven't experienced it myself, so I can't really I can't really tell you how bad it is, but yeah, it's definitely a worry.
Well, I mean, you are the reserve driver. You would get to jump in that case. But what work have you been able to do with the team behind the scenes? Because there's been signs of improvement over the last few races.
Yeah, we've made some small steps forward. I think Barcelona was a good race for the team. Since then, it's been a little bit more difficult. Monaco, obviously, a very particular circuit here. It's quite particular as well. And I think the bouncing here has been quite bad as well. So I'm not sure everything is fully understood, but it seems like we're chipping away. Still a long way to go and a big gap to the front. But we're kind of in no man's land at the moment, and gives us the opportunity to try quite a lot of things.
Yeah, but it does. And just finally, this is a Formula One show, but I've got to ask about you and your future. Mercedes leaving Formula E at the end of the year. What does your future hold?
I'll be in Formula E. I feel I'm in a good position right now. I'm leading the championship there. It's been a very good start of the season. We've been competitive consistently, and that's my target as well, is to really finish this season on a high, give Mercedes a good farewell, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm in a good position there, so we'll see.
I imagine staying with the F1 team on this front as well.
It's something I haven't talked about yet with Toto. I mean, there's definitely a possibility to stay with the team, but those things we'll talk about that later in the year.
Well, I'll let you go and talk to the team about whatever you need to now. Stoffel Vandoorne, thank you very much for your time. Stoffel Vandoorne, they're the reserve driver for Mercedes, seeing as the race drivers are now up in debrief. I tell you, the size of the champagne bottles they get, though. Lewis Hamilton's press officer's just come down with the trophy in a case, which looks heavy in one hand, and she's got this champagne bottle in the other hand. And I tell you, genuinely, size-wise, it is longer than my arm, massive. So, yeah, that's
there you go.
It's still half a bottle there as well. So I think that's going to the team to enjoy.
Jonathan, I seem to recall you and I escaping with one of those.
We actually had one New Year's.
You escaped with it, and then we popped it open for New Year's.
Yeah, we did.
I don't really remember the rest of that, but
the rest of that New Year's.
Once that Jeroboam was gone, there wasn't much to remember.
Chris, is it
interesting point about Stoffel Vandoorne?
Yeah.
It's taken as fact that he has signed with another Formula E team for next year, and with Mercedes out, it's another brand, and it's a staunch rival to Mercedes. So, yeah, his situation vis-a-vis Mercedes is going to be interesting to watch as it develops toward the end of the year.
Yeah, you got to give that a plug, Bob. We know you're doing the Formula E for television, right?
Yeah, right, for CBS, working with Ryan Marine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And does it begin with P and rhyme with Morsh by any chance?
I was going to say, if you can find something that brand rhymes with, you're a better poet than I. Of course.
Yeah, he realized halfway through that I couldn't.
Yeah. It might be that, yeah. I mean, I'm not sworn to secrecy. That's what it is. He's going to go drive, I think, for Dragon and a Porsche drivetrain, and we'll see what happens. I mean, it's certainly not unusual for guys to drive for others in other series if their contracted manufacturer doesn't have a car in that series. So, maybe a tempest in a teapot, but we'll see. It's always part of the fun.
Hey guys, we promised we were going to give away a pair of tickets to the USGP here in Austin, and we said we were going to look for the best reaction to the race on social media, and I think I have to choose the duct tape reaction from Sissin is her Twitter handle. Let me see if I click on her. No, that doesn't help, but her reaction on Twitter was, it's reassuring to know I fixed household issues with Formula One technology too in my house.
That's worth it.
That is it. So, and we're going to give away more tickets this year. So we're going to contact her over Twitter. But yes, we are excited about the Formula One USGP, of course, coming here in October. And that's going to be the first of many pairs of tickets that we give away. Final thoughts, gentlemen. We got about 2 minutes left. Chris, let's start with you.
What a shame it was for Ferrari to have the day they've had, to be honest. We've spoken to Red Bull a fair bit there, and perfect day for them. But when we look at the championship picture, as good as it is for Mercedes catching Ferrari, it does really put a dent in a real title fight. And I think because of something Helmut Marko said to us, Red Bull traditionally start slow and improve quickly, and they've had a great first 8 races. So, dreamland for Red Bull right now. But that's a real blow today for Ferrari. Hopes those engines are cooked. Then they're going to be looking at penalties later in the year. Yeah, it's not a good position to be in. So the fact that we can also speak to either of Gunther Steiner or Fred Vasseur says that the Ferrari customer teams are not happy either. Tough day for Ferrari.
Well, Bob Varsha, you've got 30 seconds.
Looking forward to Montreal, one of my favorite races on the calendar. And I agree with Chris. What's good for Formula One, or what's good for Ferrari, is good for Formula One. This was a huge step backwards, hard on the fans. Let's hope things get solved by a week's time.
Les, I know yours. Yours is raise the car.
There you go, raise the car.
I like my headlines.
What?
Ferrari, as a bad day.
As a bad day. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks, Chris. Great job over there today. I think you got about a dozen fantastic interviews.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And thanks everybody who tuned in on social media, YouTube and Facebook. And of course, next week, Canada. So we've got our usual pre and post. And don't forget, we have our Wheel to Wheel show on Wednesdays too. Thanks everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Ciao, y'all.
Happy trails.
Bye.
See you later.